Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bill and Ammons Bogus Hangout. Have our guests introduce themselves. And Kim, tell us who
Hi,
you are.
Kim Krausberg, Accessibility and Usability Specialist for Creative Vision Web Consulting.
Steve.
Steve Grinter, sponsored by the wonderful folks at Sonic today. And I run Steve Driven Media.
Zara.
Hi, I'm Zara Altier, and I write for the web.
Terry.
Terry,
Introduce yourself. Yeah.
Tackling the web core stuff.
Doc.
Stuff, that's very polite, Eric. Doc Sheldon of Intrinsic Value SEO and shamelessly Deep SEO Conference.
And I'm Bill Slosky of SEO by the Sea, and I'm the Director of SEO Research for Go Fish Digital. So we've been getting some interesting news from around the web recently. And it comes with a decided attitude. And it points out things like whose guard does not impact SEO and rankings. So Google is a registrar of the web, right?
Yeah.
And people pointed that out and have been saying that who is information helps rankings, who is information hurts rankings. And now we've got somebody saying, and that was just SEOs saying, this is what we think. And now we're getting Google spokespeople saying it's all nonsense. It means nothing.
What I've been saying since the very first day Google became a registrar is, how do you think they find all the PBNs? I mean, if you're not, even if you register with privacy, that doesn't mean they still
They
can't
have the information.
Yeah, a registrar has access to all that through ICANN.
Yeah,
Exactly.
doesn't matter if it's private or not. Registrar gets it.
So Google seems to like information no matter what they're doing. If they're driving around in Street View cars, they're hacking into people's homes to grab their passwords from their Wi-Fi networks. Why? I have no idea. But they've been caught doing it.
Was that Google or was that people who work for Google were doing that?
People driving Street View cars while working for Google.
We're also war driving.
Yeah, but they weren't doing it for Google. Is that
They weren't
correct?
doing it for Google. They were doing it for themselves.
Well, actually, Google came out when that all hit the fan. Google came out and said that they were doing it inadvertently and they were going to take actions to ensure that that was stopped. But so they admitted, whether it was true or not, they admitted to inadvertently gathering that information.
Google inadvertently gathering information.
So I
I don't know how you
remember,
inadvertently do that, but
I remember printing a robots.txt file for my front door to stop the Street View cars from indexing my house. So I got my neighbors all upset because I told them I saw them on the web drinking on our front patio. They didn't like that. So that'll teach you to drink on the front patio.
Yeah, keep it out in the back where no one can see you.
Yeah.
Google will probably have drones taking images one of these days. So.
Right.
I understand that Amazon is going to have a drone delivery service, and they've gotten approval,
Yep.
but they're not supposed to let the drones fly out of sight. And I have no idea how that's supposed to work.
Yeah, how can they do that if they can't get out of their site? That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
You just stack them. You run another drone flying Overwatch over the others.
Oh my God. So, but who's one? Oh, because one drone is empty watching, and the other one is actually carrying the item. Okay.
All the rules are easy to get around if you just think a little laterally.
So I've seen patents that talk about drone delivery services, and they talk about having user-specific landing spots for your delivery packages. Except there's no way to provide information about your user delivery spot to Amazon or to a Google. So you can't point out your patio and tell them to put packages there.
You just paint a little circle with an H in the middle of it, or an A. Amazon sends you a little free logo. You can lay it in your yard, and that's what it plans.
Well, it kind of brings up the question. I mean, how effective are these drones going to be at spotting things like a cable going from the pole to your back wall of your house and not hitting that, or small tree branches that stick out and get struck. I mean, or landing on top of your cat,
I don't see how it would work where I live. We're in the woods, and I mean, we have so many delivery problems now. They literally cannot get here. Even with our back roads being as narrow, I mean, we are really tucked away from the world.
Can a FedEx or DHL find you, Kim?
At the moment, they're not. They know where we are, but they can't get here because of the snow. And
the roads are blocked.
Yeah, the roads are blocked. Or if there's floods, you can't get here. So we're still waiting for things. So what we've begun to do is have Amazon deliver at a food store that has the Amazon boxes. And, obviously we can't get anything really big delivered there, but that is our only recourse if we want something, delivered. We have to go get it from the store because they're never going to get here. They cannot come up our driveway.
We had the same issue here because Memphis was shut down. And I got a phone call Saturday morning saying, your package is on the truck. If you want to get it, it will be at the Piggly Wiggly from 2 to 4. You can go get it from the And I got a phone call for 3 days.
Right. UPS we're waiting for too. They can't get here. It's not just Amazon. It's UPS too.
Yeah. One of the trade-offs for living like we live, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, and it's not that bad,
Still worth it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know when we built our place, the first thing we did was we laid out a easy to turn around driveway and easy in and off the road because the road's so narrow, it's hard for that truck to make that turn. So we've actually kind of got a Y entrance into our driveway. If you're not paying attention, you wind up scooped into our driveway real easy. But the delivery guys all love it. They can get a 40-foot truck in here and with plenty of room to turn around and no mud. And so once they all learned that, it got nice.
Yeah, our neighbor is actually helping us. We're going to have to circle. We're already working on that because they can't get in. If they get in, you should see some of the young drivers trying to back out.
Yeah.
So I'm learning about car navigation systems from some of the food delivery services that provide service in my area. So my house has the same street number as a building on the street next to mine.
Oh, wow.
Exact same street number. So Uber and their navigation system think that that's my house because it's got the same street number. Even though it's on the wrong street. So if they're delivering something to me, they tell me, I'm in front of your building. I'm looking for your door number, your letter B. All I see is numbers on the doors. I say, you're 5 minutes away. You're in front of the wrong building. You've got to go back out to the street, turn left, and then go up that street, and I'm to the right.
Yeah.
And You're in the wrong place. You'll never get to me there.
You'd think if they look at the street, at the house number, you'd think it would occur to them to look at the name of the street too. You know?
And so somebody else called me from a different delivery service and says, I'm right next to, it was a even number. I said, okay, you're looking at buildings on the wrong side of the street. Even numbered buildings are on one side, odd numbered buildings are on the other side.
God, who doesn't know that? Jesus.
I said, you can ask the post office people. They've known that for many years.
Many decades.
The people that don't know that are the people who have never had anything other than a GPS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't know
Yeah.
east, west, north, south. None of that makes any sense to them.
Right. That's true.
I
Wow.
wonder if they're not all using Google Maps.
My
I
daughter,
had a taxi cab company say they couldn't find me, and they were using Google Maps, and Google Maps shows my house about half a block down and in the middle of the road. So they don't really know which building they're referring to.
Well, my street number hasn't changed since the late 70s.
Yeah.
Google
But if the
Maps,
streets are running parallel and their dot thing, their marker is off, it could be in your backyard instead of in front of your house. That's what I'm saying.
doesn't come inside my compound.
Sometimes Google Maps doesn't work right.
Right.
If I try to drive through some towns, like La Jolla is where University of Southern California, UCSD,
All right.
University of California, San Diego, is located in La Jolla. And if you try to use Google Maps in La Jolla, some of the streets are closed off because there's steel poles in the middle of the street to block traffic from traveling down the street. They're trying to make it pedestrian only.
Mm.
So they didn't tell Google Maps. So Google Maps routes you directly down that street with the holes, with the poles in the middle of the street. So nope, I can't drive through there.
But my daughter was telling me the other day that she found a camera in a field on one of her walks, and so she put up in the village notifications that she found a camera in the field south of the village, right?
Yeah.
And not one, but two people said, I don't understand. What do you mean south of the village? Had no idea, north, south, east, west. I just
And they vote.
And reproduce.
Okay, so I get into Google Maps. I ask it to take me someplace. It tells me to go out the street and turn south. Turn south. I said, okay, I left my compass with Daniel Boone.
Right. I hate it when it does that. And it doesn't tell you the street name. So you're like, what direction and what street? It doesn't give you that information. It's really weird.
Right. Head northeast.
Yeah.
oh man,
So my car doesn't have a compass.
my car doesn't
Do
have
I?
a compass either.
Might as well say, go bearing 067.
Our road doesn't even have a road sign.
I mean, it's like when the bank asks you to fax something to them.
Yeah.
You say, it's a good thing. I would be happy to fax something to you if I lived in the 20th century and had a fax machine.
Yeah.
Somebody
You
told me
can't-
the other day that I could fax them something, and I'm like, what? You know,
So I've got email and I've got a scanner and I can scan it and attach it to the email. and
right?
send it to you that way. That's not secure. You should fax it to us.
Mm.
You work for a bank? Are you really that stupid? You're protecting money.
Yep. Mm.
Email's unsecure. Fax machines are secure.
Yeah.
That-
Because
That's
you've never worked somewhere where you've been spammed by fax machine.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, I remember that. Sending black images to a fax machine.
Yeah.
Yep.
You go into your office and you find all these faxes been sent to you from nearby restaurants.
Right.
I remember that.
Yeah. There was a lot of fax spam.
I mean, it was only second to car spam. People would print folders and shove them underneath your windshield wiper.
I used to do that.
Liars. Yeah.
What kind of places would you do that for, Steve?
Pizza.
Pizza.
Yep. Instead of making dinner tonight, order a pizza.
And I've been known to go out to my car in the parking lot, and if it was a really good coupon under my windshield wiper, I'd go pull them off of 5 or 6 cars. Stock up on coupons.
I think one of the few things we did that got people not happy with us was we used to have these little plastic Domino's cups with a little plastic lid, and we'd stuff them full of coupons and a toy, and have some guys sitting in the back of a truck and just drive down the street and have them just hucking them into people's yards.
Oh, yeah. I could see how that would be annoying.
Complaints, but we'd set record sales for the weekend, so we didn't care.
Wow.
Which is why the spammers do email the way they do it. They get 1 or 2 complaints and make record sales. They don't care.
So I have a question for y'all. How many links on a web page is too many links? Does it matter?
Talk about outbound, right?
Not if you're a foodie site. Oh my God. They have like 100 per page.
Per page?
Yeah.
I've seen more than that in a menu on some sites.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had a page where Google acquired a bunch of patents from IBM, and I linked to all the patents they acquired on a page, and I had about 3,000 links on that page.
Good Lord.
Whoa.
And they worked fine, and they weren't too close together, and they actually linked to the right patents. There was no commercial need, involvement, no spamming going on. So third-party SEO tools like Moz gave me a negative spam score because I had so many links on one page.
Where they know
Because
follow.
they didn't have to be.
I know.
The USPTO doesn't care
No,
when you no follow.
I don't think any link should be no follow, but that's my personal opinion.
I've never yet used that.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
I refuse.
I only did it after Google hammered me for 1 outbound link. Gave me a spam penalty. So I no-followed everything on my site, including Google.
There were some extenuating circumstances on that one, though, because you got tied in with the stuff with my blog guest at the same time.
Yeah, and Marty, yeah. I was running in bad company, I guess. Or maybe Ann was running in bad company. I don't know. Maybe she got hammered because she knew me.
No, there's some sites that just liked no follow, like Wikipedia. Let's put no follow everywhere so nobody gets any credit.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then-
unless you're linking to them, and if you don't give them credit, they're all over you.
And then Forbes did the same thing with no follow. And then Google says, okay, we give up. We're not going to count no follow anymore. It's not a directive. It's a hint.
It's a suggestion.
All along.
And if we want to ignore it, we'll ignore it.
Just like the
And I'm not
no.
going to tell you when we ignore it.
They said that when they initiated it, that if just because you put no follow on it doesn't mean that we're not going to count it. They said that at the time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they did.
Back in 2005? No,
Yeah.
they didn't. No,
Oh,
they
you're right.
in
I was
2005
thinking
it was supposed to combat blog comments.
But when they did the disavow, they said if you disavow the wrong one that shouldn't be, doesn't matter. We'll treat it how we want.
Yeah, disavow is our tool. It's not
Right.
yours. And you can disavow something, but if we don't think it should be disavowed, we'll ignore your disavow.
I have a question about an outbound link.
Yeah.
I built a website brand new for a nonprofit, and everything's brand new on the site. And
Yeah.
somebody else on the board of directors put up a YouTube channel for future use of uploading videos. It's for horses.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to show on the YouTube channel yet, but I put the link in the footer for, prepper, would they have a YouTube, or they will have, I was told to take it off. And the logic was, and by somebody else in the board of directors. And her reasoning was they want to use YouTube to drive the traffic into the nonprofit site. And by me having a link in the footer of the nonprofit site going out, that's bad.
So does this director actually do any work on the web? Do they work as an SEO?
She fancies herself as being not only one of them, an SEO and a marketer, but also accessibility. So it's difficult.
So she should be hired by anybody who wants to be found on the web, because she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Right.
And I need a little ammo, just because she's going to probably have me take down the link to the Facebook page and all of their stuff, their followers.
What does the link go to? An actual Facebook page?
Yes, they have a brand
How does she think people are going to find these things if you don't link to them? Tell her search engines find your YouTube channel by seeing the link on your site.
And even if they found it by some other means, how are they going to associate it with you?
Right.
Right.
There's always the in, but not an out. Oh, but she said it's okay to, like, when there's a story of a horse that's ready to be adopted, I can embed the video in it will be a blog post. And I'm like, yes, of course, I would be doing that. But I still thought it would be nice to have the link to the YouTube channel in the footer.
Yes.
What if they see that video and want to see more? How are they going to find it?
Good point. See, this is
a single link to a YouTube channel is not going to hurt anything.
No.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't put it in a footer simply because why would I need it site-wide? I would probably put it someplace on a videos page, let's say a videos category page or something, and say to subscribe to our channel with a link.
That's how I did another nonprofit site, and that is their setup. Because they don't have anything to put there yet, in the back of my mind, I was going to do that, Doc. But because there's no videos there yet.
Yeah, temporarily, sure.
So, but I have a suggestion for that too, with no videos on the channel,
Right.
is to create the welcome video, the channel welcome video, and say, welcome to our, video channel, whatever its purpose is, and maybe throw in a couple of horse video clips.
It's what a horse looks like.
Yeah.
We rescue
That,
horses.
like, a minute long and say, we're building this channel, because you can change it later, but just have that welcome video there. So even if somebody clicks that link and gets to the YouTube channel, they're still going, one, to the YouTube channel, and two, they're getting the correct information about what's going on the YouTube channel. So rather than having a link that goes to a channel that has nothing, it has something that says, thank you for stopping by, horse pictures, from
Give them 5 minutes.
and
We're
building this for you, and and
Give
so
them 5 minutes of horses playing in snow.
Yeah.
really.
please
We're
subscribe.
building the channel. Thanks for stopping by. Anything like that, you know?
Do they have other social channels
Pardon me?
like Facebook and Twitter? Are they on there?
Yeah, they have a huge Facebook page, which, get a load of this. This was done without my knowledge. They had one for the profit side of the stable, but now they've gone nonprofit. So what they did was they changed the name of the Facebook page, and literally it broke the link. It didn't follow to the new nonprofit. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody goes to the old link, it's broken. The Facebook, it's gone. And I wasn't consulted. I wasn't part of any of that, but I did notice that had happened. So it's kind of messed up. But yeah, it's a weird situation because I'm not getting paid. I'm volunteering to do this, and I volunteered to make it accessible. So there's somebody else who is on the board. I'm not on the board, who kind of feels that they know more than I do. And so there's a bit of pushback there. She doesn't know more than I do, but because she's on the board, I'm probably going to have some run-ins here. So I want a little.
If she insists on something like removing the link to the YouTube page,
yeah,
and you remove the link to the YouTube page, I would make a statement to the board that under the board direction, I am removing this link. However, I want to advise you that the consequences would be, you're not building awareness, you're not building a connection. You just list like maybe 3 or 4, dire consequences of doing this, and so that you have warned the rest of the board that this is a mistake without saying this is a really dumb action.
I've done that. Clients want you to do something. I say, yeah, I'll do it. However, you have to write off on it saying that I did this under your direction.
Yeah.
Because at some point when this goes south, you can possibly sue me or come back on me, and I'm not having it. So
Right.
yeah, I'll do it only if you give me something in writing instructing me to do it.
Right.
So I've been given instructions by clients, which were supported by the staff of the company, the agency I work for.
Mm-hmm.
Like categorize URLs in an XML sitemap, and that'll improve rankings for your website. And I said, no, that's not true. That's a lie.
It organizes
That does not work.
It doesn't do anything.
That will not help rankings at all.
Nope.
And I'm happy to tell the people I work for, but you're not paying us to do that, because we're not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So they may have decided to charge you a certain amount of money. Ignore that. It doesn't do anything. We'll only do SEO for you for stuff that works.
Yeah.
And that doesn't.
Yeah.
What would you
We'll
guys?
only charge you for stuff that works, not stuff that doesn't. We won't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a bless you for being a volunteer and
And they're the second one. I mean, doing something.
I wasn't a volunteer. I was an employee.
no, but
And I
Kim
was telling my employer they're wrong and they should shut up if they don't know something.
yeah.
And I've been sort of treating them like a client, but they're a little, I don't know, it's a little bit different. Along those lines, have you ever been asked to put an Instagram feed on a page, and what are your thoughts about that? I know what mine are, but the other nonprofit I do will not let me remove it. I'm rebuilding that site, and they just take so many good pictures, and the Instagram feed is actually a plus for them. But for the new one, it's a brand new Instagram feed, and they want that on the homepage as well. I'm worried about the download time, among other things.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on the homepage of any site.
Okay.
I've got it on multiple sites.
On the homepage.
On the homepage, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yep.
And
Oh no, pictures of people's what they're eating isn't exactly a selling point for me.
The main reason is they're all, well, several of them are jewelry sites, and they take far more pictures and put them on Instagram of the jewelry in the store than they would ever give me to put on the website.
yeah.
So we've broken it down into categories. I've even gone as far as on one I'm working on now, is I'm getting them to hashtags very religiously categories.
Wow.
So that I can pull in specific feeds for specific pages so that we don't have to go through the hassle of trying to build gallery pages.
Well, that makes sense because jewelry comes and goes.
Yep.
Right.
And, you know, it's also done wonders for their branding because so many people, while they don't follow the website, they follow their Instagram feed.
Yeah. Yeah. One nonprofit. Well, yeah, and a lot of it's just of polo games, polo footage, that sort of thing. But with this new nonprofit, it's still going to be horse,
Right.
which, you know, people are going to love looking at that. But I was just worried about the download. There's not a whole lot of content on the homepage fighting
Right.
it. And I'm not planning on putting a lot of content on the homepage.
This is an area that I argue with Doc a bit on, and several other people. I really don't care what the download speed is on a web page. I honestly don't. I get that Google does, but as long as we are within a certain window of speed with our competitors, I flat don't care.
There's a
I have to be a fast website. I have to be fast as my competitor.
There's a user experience element to that. It's if people are told what to expect in terms of something downloading, that it's a slow download, they'll live with it.
And
If they want pictures of a certain something that are involved pictures and they take time to download, like maybe pieces of art, you tell them that it's a slow download and people will wait for it.
I'll try to remember to send you the link, but there's the plugin we use for pulling Instagram feeds actually caches them. It goes out and every hour just grabs what's new. So it's not calling Instagram for the feed. It's already cached and ready to go. And I always put it at the bottom of the page where it's kind of the last thing to load anyway.
Yep.
So by the time somebody scrolled all the way down there. So, I mean, realistically, I don't care. I would gladly give up the 8 seconds or whatever it is to get people to go down there and go, oh, look, I need to subscribe to their Instagram feed. I will trade that all day long.
Can you send me that?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Yeah, that's huge. But yeah, those were the those are the two things that came flying into my face recently. I think that was, yeah. I'm sure that there will be more, but.
I have a question for Terry about the article about categories.
Category pages.
Yeah, category. What did elaborate on your sense of all that?
Well, John was telling someone he looked at their website, saw that the content pages shouldn't be called content pages because they had no content. So he looked at the category pages and said, well, if you're going to optimize something, optimize the category pages because they have all the subcategories and everything on it. It's actually content that you have a chance of ranking now, and even more so with passages.
But it's important to mention, I think, that was specific to that website.
Yes.
Right.
So
People don't think
you
that
have
you should always go to the category page to optimize rather than the product
But
pages.
It has something that I believe that every page you should look at it and determine what content do I need to meet the goals of this page and the purpose of this page.
So if you have a page that actually has content in it, index it. Especially if
Yeah.
it's content that matters to your audience,
Yeah.
that though it's possible they'll actually look for and expect to see there.
Radical concept, eh?
That helps a
Yeah.
lot.
I mean, use words that people will use to search to find your site and will expect to see in your pages. That's why you bother to understand your audiences that a site's been built for. So you know how to rank it and why.
Right. But I think his point was that people should be looking at content and see, is this even rankable? And should I not use a different page or write something that is rankable because it has enough content on the page? That's a decision I think a lot of SEOs should take a close look at. To me, I've always liked category pages for ranking. I think they have a better chance because they cover the whole category.
So when
subject.
you very broadly refer to pages as category pages and content pages, you're not referring to much of anything at all, in my opinion. You're using such broad terms.
Right.
If
Okay,
you're
I
talking
see
about
what you're
if you're
saying.
talking about a commerce site where you have products, you have accessories,
Right.
you can and they're products that people actually look for, index those pages, optimize them. Same with accessories.
Well,
The
that's
categories may be so broad that ranking for those may be near impossible.
well, that's the heart of the problem is whoever was doing that site didn't look at those non-category pages and say, geez, maybe I should put more content here. Which would be the smart thing to do, not hope that they're, that's like
Yeah, hoping doesn't work.
Dave and I were working for a company and they insisted that we rank them for new Ford Focus ahead of Ford. They expected to be number one. I just looked at them and said, no, if Google's working right, Ford is going to be number one every time. And to think that you can outrank Ford for new Ford Focus, you might want to read a little bit more.
Especially if you happen to get used car lot. Trying to rank
people-
for a new model. makes it look
Oh,
tough.
used cars.
And people are criticizing Google's EAT, expertise, authoritativeness, and
Yeah.
trust, and saying that's not part of the algorithm. Well, if I build a website and I have people who are supposed to be experts showing off their expertise, talking about a subject, providing information about a subject, providing links regarding that subject, and showing they're experts at it. Say you want somebody who's a scuba diver to tell you what type of tanks you should use to go diving in different locations. And they explain why. You actually show your expertise off. There's no problem with worrying about some algorithm that does that, because if you're filling a page with content that shows that expertise, other people who are interested in scuba will find you.
Well, I've kind of disagreed with the thing about EAT not being an algorithm. There's not an algorithm named EAT, but there are algorithms that affect EAT.
And you have people like Gary saying EAT isn't one big algorithm, it's a bunch
A
of
lot.
baby algorithms.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's the way all algorithms are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
try to build a search engine. That's your job. You should do it.
Wind him up, wind him up.
So EAT isn't an algorithm, except it's a bunch of little algorithms. Guess what a little algorithm is, Gary? You add them up and put them together in this big algorithm.
Yep. A bunch of metrics make up a single ranking factor, not just it's this and that's it. You know, it's a bunch of stuff. And a lot of people just don't understand that, you know.
I think that's the problem that some people have with things like BERT, you know, where there's a lot going on and there are all these little moving parts, as it were, and yet everything correlates together. And
BERT, somebody asked me, okay, BERT's an algorithm, BERT's a language model. Which is it? I said it's both. It's not that hard to understand. It's both. So BERT is a pre-training program that you run a website through. It looks at the words you've used. It determines whether or not they're entities. It decides what piece of speech, what type of speech it is. It identifies co-occurring words. Like the word Spider-Man always shows up near the word amazing because they're often used together.
Well, we still have the argument about whether or not there's a sandbox. And it's like, no, there is not a sandbox as Google calls it. There are effects that resemble what you might think is a sandbox, but it's not.
And at least one Google and search engineer has said it's not a sandbox. It's the same problem that brick and mortar sites have. Yep. They take time to have people become aware of them. You build a store at a place, you need to put the signs on the front door. You need to put things that people can recognize about that store. People don't know the store overnight just because there's a store there all of a sudden.
No, I see them all the time.
You start advertising.
It's like I built my client a new website. It's been 3 weeks and they still don't rank. And it's like,
cry me a river.
So who'd you tell about the site?
Exactly. Well, I hired a company to do link building for me. Oh, good luck with that. Let me guess, that company was as cheap as your website was, right?
I bet you that makes you very
I'm
popular.
I'm very popular in some of these groups.
There are lots of places that I've tried to find using Google Maps and navigation from maps. And I get to the middle of a road that goes near a place and Google says, okay, your destination is on the right. There's the side of a street there. There's no street to drive into. Who the hell submitted this to Google Maps and accepted that as a location?
You know, I know my chiropractor is listed at about half a mile down the road and on the wrong side of the road from where his office actually is. I've been trying to get that updated and fixed for, oh good Lord, a year now. And every time I think it's going to stick, Google reverts it back to being in the lake.
Really, Google has his office in a lake.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, technically it's not in a lake, but if you're capable of building a chiropractic office in a strip of land that's about 3 feet wide before it falls into the lake, then yes.
Well, they placed one time when I first set up my GMB account, I tried to, you know, how you could, on the map, you could stretch the envelope of your location, your service area. And I went overboard. I tried to stretch it because I had clients in Australia, the UK, Canada, you know, North America. I tried to encompass UK and Australia and North America. So it planted me smack dab in the middle of Lake Victoria, Kenya. Okay. So I discovered that wasn't going to work. Then I did a little bit more research and said, okay, you got to go to the service area. So I fixed all that and it took it away. And a couple months later, I'll look and it's got me back in the middle of Lake Victoria.
Yeah. It's hard to undo one of those things once it's been
It
done.
is. Yep.
How do
Even
they?
if you can get it even on the phone, it's next to impossible.
How do they determine sites like that where they're in the middle of a body of water? I mean,
They don't care.
doesn't make any sense.
It's their standard answer. It's a fringe case, therefore it's not.
French case. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
So I moved from Cardiff, California, to Carlsbad, California. It's a trip of 5 miles.
Yeah.
So I had a knowledge panel on my site when I was in Cardiff, California. Somebody at Google decided they should put a red box on top of it saying this location permanently closed.
Thank
So
you.
I found a phone number to talk to somebody and said, no, it's not closed. It's moved because businesses move. It happens. It
Not
happens
according to
every
Google.
day.
Better clear that with Google first.
You
Well,
could.
I cleared it with them later, but it did get cleared. And
They're
and
not
I
Did it get cleared by your actually talking to them and saying,
I get cleared by actually talking to them. I got them to recognize that Cardiff, California was not in Wales.
oh, so because Cardiff in Southern California is officially Cardiff by the Sea. That's the town name.
It's part of Encinitas. It's one of the
Right,
neighborhoods of
right.
Encinitas. It's not an actual real town.
one big thing, but the
It's got its own zip code,
name
but
of it is Cardiff by the Sea, which is different than Cardiff in Wales.
well, no, it's called Cardiff. It's not Cardiff by the Sea.
Yeah, the
Oh,
people who live there don't call it
Change.
too.
People who live in Cardiff, California, don't call it Cardiff by the Sea,
See, they
California.
call Cardiff.
So the guy who built it in the 1930s, who was married to a girl who was from Cardiff, Wales, and decided to name everything after places in England, like I lived in Oxford Street. It was right. It was a crossing street with Edinburgh Street. And there were a bunch of other streets with British names,
They don't have British names yet.
but none of them were in Britain. So I tried to find a slice of pizza. And I searched for pizza near us, not looking for the near us pizza place, but but they showed me pizza places in Cardiff,
Really?
Wales.
Wow.
Yeah.
When do you think people will start naming their business something near us?
Near us, right? Or near me.
I don't know.
Cheapest or best.
At the same time, people started naming places after top alphabetical order place.
Yeah.
Aardvark Pizza.
Triple A.
Triple A. Quadruple A. Oh, yeah. No, I'm convinced that there's just not enough people at Google who've ever actually been outside in the real world for them to understand that, there are things in the world that are not going to fit your little boxes because it's the real world. And it's just, just a, side tangent, whatever. I was trying to get some stock photos from Deposit Photos last night, and it wouldn't let me use any of my credits. So I jumped on the chat and said, hey, I've got, 50 some credits left. Why can't I download this photo? And they're like, oh, well, it's a premium photo. It's like, well, it doesn't say anywhere on this page that this is a premium photo. And the nice lady on chat, she goes, well, it's from this author, and all of his photos are premium photos. I'm like, and how am I supposed to know this? Because nowhere on the picture doesn't say it's premium. Nowhere on his author page does it say all his pictures are premium. Why can't I download it?
Wow.
I mean, she just could not comprehend that I didn't understand that it was a premium photo, and therefore I couldn't have it. And it's
So
like, no,
people-
I'm fine with it being premium. But you
So-
got to tell people that it
But
is.
tell me, yeah.
So people in China do not use longitude and latitude.
Right.
They've classified them as munitions because they allow you to target places
Right.
with bombs. So they didn't bother to let the people in Mountain View at Google know that they weren't allowed to use latitude and longitude. So they've got all these cities where they've got all these places that have no actual street addresses and no latitude or longitudes, which makes navigating a map through those cities really
A
difficult.
little.
It's like down here. Go to the big rock, turn left.
Well,
To the one
when I
part
lived
actually falling down.
when I lived in Wimberley, Texas, the running joke there in town was there was a place before they built the Wood Creek Resort that used to be they had it was like a miniature water park. They had water slides and stuff for the kids. And the running joke was there, when somebody would ask how to get to Wood Creek, is you go down this 2325 about 2.5 miles. And when you get to where the water slide used to be, turn right.
Yeah, if you
Thank
do
you.
if you
Thank you. Get this car and drive off pretty soon. You see the brake lights come on.
if you're in a historic town in a state like Virginia, and you do a title search for a historic property, and there was one in my neighborhood, I looked up the deed, and you look up the deed, and it tells you, okay, one corner is where the big tree is at.
It's like old land deeds, right?
It's like, no, I missed that tree.
I know when we bought our property about 10 years ago, and we had the surveyor come out, and a lot of our stuff was large oak tree marked a corner of the property. Well, that large oak tree does not exist anymore. It came down in a storm who knows how long ago. And so we told him, because our property is shaped very weird. It's got lots of cuts and angles and twists and stuff. And it's like, it borders the creek. Well, 50 years ago, the creek was 3 feet wide. Well, now the creek's 30 feet wide. But anyway, so we had him go through flags and pins everywhere. It's
Right.
like,
I looked up a 300-year-old house.
Mhm.
And all the dividers that were there at one point in time no longer exist.
Mm.
But it sold in the 1850s for $8,000.
Wow, that was a lot of
Whoa.
That's
money.
been a hell of a house.
It was a multi-million-dollar house at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a house, that's a mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
I think the guy who owned it for $8,000 was a U.S. senator too.
Mm.
The guy who owned it before him was Chief Justice of the United States.
Wow.
So Terry, you sent an article about redirects.
Yeah. Apparently, too many doesn't hurt your site.
So if you get pages that are on a server that are catched, and they're catching redirect URLs to those pages, at some point those pages are no longer accessible.
I guess so. This one had 15 redirects in it. I don't know how you would get 15, but I guess it's content that keeps moving and they keep redirecting it by chain.
Right.
You mean a chain?
You might want to remove 14 of that out of that chain and just link from one to the other.
So you can flush those catches and the pages then become available again. But I can see that type of situation where pages aren't flushed and the caches are still there, but they become unindexable because a crawler can't index pages.
Can't
It
index
can't
them,
visit.
right? But I think a lot of times that's content that changes.
Now, so I did SEO for a company. It was one of these Fortune 450 companies. It was like a video provider,
Yeah.
TV company,
Mhm.
and their chief of marketing didn't know marketing. He knew how to do profit and loss statements. He would hire marketing companies to work on the website,
Right.
and they would change stuff.
Yep.
Like they would say, okay, should the FAQ be a subdomain or a subdirectory? Let's make it a subdomain this time. And then the next marketing company would say, let's make it a subdirectory this time.
Those
We
guys
need to change it.
do it this
We
way.
need to change it. We need to change the URL. And so you'd end up with chains like 8 levels, 9 levels, 10 levels deep,
Jeez.
Ooh.
which a search engine would see 3 levels, 4 levels, say, no, too much shit there. We're not going to index that.
I think Google will follow them all. That's what they kind of implied.
Right. But when the URL becomes completely inaccessible and they won't show any content at all because it needs to have a cache flushed, that's the situation you're talking about with that article.
Okay. I know that the Moz used to have 3 redirects on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one had a person who would arrive at people's homes for customer service to install their communication system and fall asleep on the job. And people would videotape it and post that video to YouTube.
Nice.
And it was a top page. It was a top page ranking video for that company's name.
Oh my God.
It's like rank number 5. Yeah. Do we need SEO? Do we need to fix that? People are finding that page.
Yeah. Well, it's like, somebody does something a little sketchy and they wonder how that one article about them keeps climbing to the top. And doing a little research, you find out that the person they screwed has been actively promoting that.
Linking.
It looks like the guy who doesn't like you is better at SEO than the guy you hired to fix it. Just putting that out there.
I think I mentioned this a while back. I had a customer who was intent on improving their SEO, and I kept making suggestions. And then when I would do a search for the company, the very first thing that showed up was and I said, you have to go respond to those complaints and fix all of that if you want the rest of all of this to be really working for you. And they were like, no, we don't have to do that. And it's like,
Okay.
yeah, okay. But
You'll
but
remember.
people live in this little bubble of themselves, and they don't understand how their reputation is based on everything that is on the web.
Zara, so you remind me of a potential client I had.
Yeah.
There was a time when Google used to allow you to turn on or turn off personalization when you searched.
All right.
And this guy called me. He said, I'm having a problem. I search for my company and my competitor shows up at the top of the results every time. I said, every time? Okay, what is the query you use? And I did the search and his company shows up and the competitor's nowhere.
All right.
So I'd scroll down. His competitor was ranked like 30th. Said, how often do you search for this?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. That guy's always there. Okay, now go up to the top of your results where it says turn personalization off. Click that. He said, how did you know that was on? I said, it's obvious. Now click to turn personalization off. Now do the search again. Where'd the guy go? I said, no need to pay me.
Yeah, I fixed it.
Your site ranks exactly what it should for that.
I had the opposite where a guy kept saying, what do you mean we need to improve this page? I'm number 1. Yeah, okay. Have you got personalization on?
Yeah. And it seemed like the people who get in those positions are extremely resistant to
Yes.
suggestion.
Now he was really convinced his competitor was outranking him for his own name.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was going to their website every day to prove it.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with like Terry and Doc and you guys. I've been in this business for so long. I have seen things that you hear about on the forums and people go, oh, that can't be real. It's like, oh, please,
It
you're
happens
real.
all the time.
I've actually walked into CEO's office with him holding a sheet of paper up against the monitor trying to fax.
Good.
How that works. Oh
my God.
And it got to the point where there was one company I worked with out in California that fortunately most of them had a pretty good sense of humor. So when one of them did something colossally stupid like that, after being trained, then I would call them out on it in front of everybody, knowing that they wouldn't do anything to me about it because all his buddies he works with are going to ride him about it. And now he's got to find something to get that guy. And it's just, oh yeah, I've seen the coffee cup holders. I've seen, oh my God, I've seen it all doing hardware.
Well, it's like, what does south of the village mean? How complicated can this be,
Well, try living in Albuquerque. There is a mountain due east. That's the only mountain. It's just one mountain, and it's to the east. And you tell people north, south, east, and west, and they look at you like you just hit them with a stick. It's like, that way's east. It is always east. It will never change. Well, what if I drive to the other side of the mountain? Then you're not in Albuquerque anymore, and it's on the west.
You're in Kansas with Toto.
No.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, it is kind of amazing to me anyway. I mean, I just think that compass directions, especially are just part of what you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get it. There are certain things that are outside people's scope of knowledge, but there should be a baseline.
Yeah.
And we don't work very hard to make sure that people meet that baseline. It's like, my wife is one of the smartest people I know. However, as Doc well knows, there are days where I just come in and sit down at my desk and it's like, how is she not dead? I don't get it. One of my programming buddies back in California, probably hands down one of the best hardware code developers. He wrote all kinds of software for cloning hard drives on the fly, and data recovery and all this. He came to our house for a party and parked on the street and climbed the fence because he could not figure out how to unlatch the gate. And it's like, it's just a little, but you just kind of put your hands up and go, okay, I get it. It's like, you were so smart in this one area. Could you give up just a little bit of that to come over here and bring all this other stuff up just a little? Because right now we should spend most of literally the people who were already there at the party, we were all standing in the living room, looking out the front window, just waiting to see if he figured it out. And he didn't.
Well, we're at the top of the hour, everyone. You call it a show. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day. Take care. Bye now.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.